when she finally got here in April. Yeah.
No, May 1st.
May 1st, okay.
I was supposed to be here May 1st, but I got here May 3rd.
Yeah, okay.
I stayed in Hawaii.
She still needed to go, didn't you, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we planned our wedding just before she had to go. So it was legal that she stayed.
And that's the first, I said, well.
So that's really our courtship right there.
Yeah.
From May 1st or May 3rd to June 6th.
What's your wedding date?
June
13th.
Friday the 13th. No, it wasn't 6th, it was 13th.
Oh, 13th, June 13th.
I know, but I said to you, well, if we do get married, should we, when do you want to get married? And you said, oh, I was thinking the 4th of July. And I said, okay. Sounded good, you know.
I was out of school. I was in Central Oregon Community College. And my last day was on the 5th. I asked my professors if I had any chance whatsoever of passing this course if I sat the test. And he told me as much as I had it flying, so I didn't bother sitting the test.
Gonna get married.
Yeah, we're going early. Let's go.
So he sold all his books and we went, and I thought we would never get to the temple.
It's a 14-hour drive.
14 hours in this car.
It's been dented on one side. Totally dented on one side.
Oh my goodness.
She couldn't get in on her side. She has to crawl through my side.
I had to get
Pontiac 10.
What a romantic drive. I love it.
No,
Nancy and Barry came with us.
Nancy and Barry came,
Yes.
and little David. David was breastfeeding. I mean, she was feeding him, so she couldn't leave him
He
home.
had to come, yeah.
And and the other kids stayed with.
So you drove from where to the temple?
Bend.
To
Idaho Falls.
Idaho Falls.
And it took us 14 hours. It took that long.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it. We got there at 5 in the morning.
Yeah, 4 or 5 in the morning.
4 or 5 in the morning.
We had a flat tire just before we got there.
Oh.
So we had to change the flat tire.
Showered. Yeah, I had something to eat quickly, and
Clea Matson, who's a member in Bend,
her brother.
Had a brother.
Yeah, her brother was the bishop.
All right, and that was just outside of Idaho Falls. On
Clea
Madsen?
Yeah.
Is she related to
So that's who we stayed with.
Madsen?
They allowed us just to get some showers.
Oh, that's her mother. Okay.
And then we went to the courthouse, and we hadn't got our marriage license yet. We were, oops.
Yeah, so we had to go to the courthouse. That was a member of the church.
He opened it up especially for us.
Yeah.
Oh.
The bishop called him, and and he went and opened up the courthouse and wrote us, typed up our license and signed it, and then we went to the temple.
To go get sealed. Wow.
And so
the person who sealed it, is it Victor Brown?
Yes.
Good.
Victor Brown.
Victor Brown. Now, other than that, I don't know really who he is, but he's a sealer. So
He was our sealer.
I don't know whether he was a member of the presidency or something like that. I don't know.
And Barry was one of the
Barry was a witness.
Oh, cool.
And Nancy was there too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So who watched the baby?
Probably the Matson family.
Yeah.
Probably, because we did go right back there.
Oh.
And that's where we left Barry and Nancy, and we were charging up for our honeymoon.
Which, of course, you were very excited about.
Oh, yes.
Oh, he was just driving around, and he says, "What should I do?"
Yeah, he was getting frustrating, all right. Yeah.
I said, "Just drive into that, gas station and ask him."
Yeah, so decisive I am in my early marriage. So decisive. I'm really leader.
He was such a boy.
I did have a job already. We were going back to my job, waiting on me.
Yeah.
We moved back to Sisters, Oregon, which is 20 miles?
Yeah, 20 miles from Bend.
West of Bend. We had a good job and a home of our own. It was a house,
$50 a month.
but we could actually see the stars through the roof.
$50
So
a month. Yeah.
there were so many holes in that house, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it was ours.
Oh. That's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
We enjoyed the house.
We should have bought it, but
Oh.
we didn't have.
I sure wish we could have.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But
the military was
was-
coming up, and I knew it was.
yeah, the military.
Tried to
was
stave it
coming
off
in.
as long as I could, but
And so when you went into the military, the pay was. I mean, it was so hard.
it was low.
Low.
But they were paying our rent.
And then you got an income?
They gave us the housing, dear. They
No.
gave us money for housing. Yes, they did. I know they did.
Well,
It still wasn't much. You know,
we paid $90 a month
but it was
at San Francisco. I mean, where that
Vallejo. Mm-hmm.
yeah, Vallejo, where that lady, that old couple, gave us the rent.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah,
I knew they gave us a housing allotment. Not much.
probably
And when Christmas came
$50.
along, we had no money whatsoever.
When what came along?
Christmas. And it was one of the nicest blessings we got early.
we decided we'd pay out
It was
tithing.
Christmas Day. Yeah, we could either buy presents or we could pay tithing. So we paid tithing. And that evening, about dinner time or something, I'm not sure, a young man came to the door and said, "A guy over across the street gave me this to give to you." It was $50.
$50 from Santa.
We went right off to the store. Bought some Christmas presents for Moana.
Yeah, bought a little Christmas dress for her and just a little doll.
When I got
It
out of
was
boot
nice.
camp, she was born.
Oh, wow.
When I had to go back, that was my new station in Vallejo. It was still school.
So what year did you get married, and then what year was
69.
69, and
she
Moana was born in
70.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was in
we
boot
shared
camp for
the
3
rent.
months,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. And you were gone for 3 months, and when you came back, I had Moana.
We just told the doctor, "Hey, I'm home. You know, is there any possibility?"
So he said, "We'll induce."
Yeah.
And
Practically
so,
all our kids have been induced.
yeah. Oh, I had them all induced. And, yeah. He broke my water about 5 in the afternoon. Oh.
Moana came along at 2 in the morning.
Yeah, 2 in the
Oh, that's a
morning.
long way.
And I'd fallen asleep.
It's okay, yeah. I think I had a little episiotomy or, you know, but other than that,
Wasn't too
I
bad.
didn't scream. I didn't dare
Yeah, she dug her
scream.
fingernails into my hand.
Did you do it without medicine?
No, I think
Like
she
all
had
natural, or did you have a epidural?
epidural.
You did.
Oh, yeah. I think I had a little injection
Yeah, I don't
just
think she did.
before I started pushing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you know, from
That's still impressive.
what 5 in the afternoon until 2,
Yeah,
she was having labor. So,
All that.
yeah.
so that's when I got
and they
dug
were
into.
pretty intense.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "Oh, I'm just going to go and, you know, rest a little while because it didn't seem like anything was going to happen. I just kept, you know, having these contractions." Anyway,
Out on the bench in the hallway, probably.
and when it's your first one, you don't really know what to expect.
Mm.
But,
Poor mommy had to do it all by herself. No mother,
Mm.
and I
no
really
friend
felt,
there.
I really felt alone. You know, I just missed my mother so bad. You know, and
Has she passed, or it was just because she was in New Zealand?
yeah, she was in New Zealand.
Mhm.
They couldn't afford to come, you
Right.
know. And so, yeah, you just miss your mother naturally. And I thought, oh gosh, my mom went through this 9 times. He had to be crazy. I was thinking things like that, but
Glowed beautifully when she was born. And to think that she's part Maori, so she's going to have some tan to her. Well, I could see through the tan. The face was glowing too much. Really. Nick was born, and they had to use forceps to get him out, and so he came out all bruised and ugly. Robert, when he was born, his hair stood straight up. It was 3 inches long before we cut it. It was really cute. And Robert had jaundice when he was born. So he had to go back in the hospital for just a couple of weeks.
And Kiri
was born back in Bend.
Yeah. She was induced also. She was the only one that I went, yeah!
And I was there the entire time.
Yeah.
Robert and Nick, they wouldn't let me go in.
Robert and Moana. I mean,
Robert
Moana and...
Yeah, I didn't. Well, I was falling asleep from Moana. They probably wouldn't have let me go in anyway.
Yeah, they didn't.
Wasn't the
Not
thing.
many husbands went in then.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
It was the thing, and they just wouldn't let you go. And the last one is Michael, which we adopted while we were in New Zealand. And we took care of him for 15 years.
10
years, yes, 10 years. He was 15 years old when he passed. He passed in New Zealand. And when we got back to the States, we got permission to have him sealed to us.
And he was so special.
So you had him from 5 to 10 or
5 to 15.
5 to 15.
Yeah.
Always on my lap. Every chance we get. You got him all day long, but I got home from work. I got him.
It took a while.
A couple of weeks, yeah.
No.
What do I do with this kid? He's crying too much.
Yeah, you'd say.
He didn't always cry though. He stopped. Yeah, I didn't know what to do with him. You're right.
Took a while, but he was really special. He really, really taught me a lot because in my dad's generation, he had nieces and nephews that were disabled also, and that was one of the reasons he didn't want us marrying relatives. He says, don't, he says, find new blood, go somewhere else.
That's right, very happy to have an American.
Yes, and so when,
really new blood.
I was the first, I guess, to marry. No, Michael and Nancy married. Michael. His father was total English. Yeah, but his mother is Maori. I was the first one really that went out of the
way, just way.
And then Rosalie, she also married a white. Let me see. One special thing about each kid. Moana was always curious, and she was excited about learning. She would just get in my face and make me listen to her read.
She enjoyed school too.
Yeah.
Right off.
Yeah. She loved school. I think she's kind of crazy, but it's okay. And Nick
does his own thing.
Yes.
Whatever that is.
He's always
Tell him what
marched to the beat of his own drum.
Yep.
I would say that, and kind of naughty. Like his
Not
mother.
too bad, but he knows that too.
Yeah, and then Robert, he's always been a pleaser. He's always been his teachers thought he was very charming, you know, as
Social.
a student.
Very social.
Mm.
Yeah,
But
and tries really hard to please everyone. He's a good dad and a good husband. And then Kiri, I don't know, she's one of those crazy ones like me.
not like me.
But
Put the worst of both of us together.
but she works hard too. She's dyslexic, you know, and so she still hasn't learned how to spell. You know, she still has to have help to do that, and she has to write essays, and she's doing it, but it takes her a lot longer. And when she was taking Maori when I was down there, and I would say, just let me do it, and she'd say no. She says, Mom, I have to do it myself. It takes me forever, but I have to do it. So, you know, I'm proud of her that way.
Kiri took her junior year off. We thought she was in school every day. She wasn't.
No.
No
Yeah.
way.
She took an entire junior year off.
And just went and like hung out with friends or something?
Yeah. She lied and said she was at school, but she wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
The school would call me. And of course by then she was already 18, and she said, too bad, Mom. I'm 18 and you can't stop me, but I'm leaving. And she just walked out. She already had a job. You see, she had a truck. So she had money in the bank, and she had her own truck, and she just thought she was the cat's meow. And of course, all her friends who were, you know, they were drinkers and partiers. I don't know if I don't think she drank. I don't know. She might have.
She called us after, Mom kicked her out. Threw all her clothes out the window.
Not that time.
Well, I'm just saying at the end.
No, I threw her out before. You know, I threw her out, and then I called and I said I was sorry, and she came back and she said, I'm staying just until I'm 18, and then I'm leaving. And of course I tried to talk her into staying, but she wouldn't. So she went.
You're probably right, because I remember piling all her stuff into her truck.
Yeah.
It wasn't the next day, so you're probably right. But anyway, she went off to live on her own.
Yeah. No, she went to live with her friends.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that made her come back was that, you know, she had run out of money, and they didn't have money for gas, and her truck had not moved. She hadn't been able to get it going.
What she told me was she woke up and there was beer bottles all over the place.
Yeah.
She said, what the heck am I doing here?
And her feet were...
And came home.
Yeah.
Well,
and
she
her
just called me up and said, can I come home? And I said, Kiri, you realize there are still rules. She said, I know.
She said, I know.
Okay.
And she came, and I could see that she really missed her friends, but she didn't go back. She wouldn't go back.
You guys grew up in the 70s, 60s, and 70s. I mean, you were newlyweds then, and a lot of what was going on in the South.
Mm-hmm.
So, you want to talk about that at all?
Well, it didn't really impact us any. Oregon is quite a ways away from all that. Yeah. And we didn't have any blacks in our community, as far as I know. So there wasn't really anything to see in my community. So that was all just through the TV. I know that Mom and Dad really didn't want me to marry outside our race. Yeah.
But you did.
But he did, yeah. Yeah, he just said it. Dad just mentioned it. I knew that he had some racial prejudice, but only very, very slightly. He didn't obviously.
Very mild.
Yeah, very mild. I mean, if a black guy came into the shop, he wouldn't treat him unjustly. I don't know that he'd hire him, but, you know. We never had the issue. There wasn't any.
Mm.
But when they met her, it was all over.
Yeah.
Mom told her that, yeah, he's a bum. You're going to have to earn a living here.
Your mom said that?
My mom said
No
that to her.
way.
And I wasn't around.
Yeah. We were in the bathroom and they were kind of, trying to plan what we were going to do for our wedding. And, I just said, well, I have my dress. I don't need anything. I
She
just
brought her
need to
dress with her.
buy myself some shoes because I didn't have any white shoes. And I had a veil. I just had to buy some artificial flowers, and just make something up here.
And we were already endowed, so...
And we were already endowed, and so... And I had my recommend, and so everything was really okay. I mean, for what I needed. And she says, well, I don't know about him. I'm just washing my hands clean of him. You have him, and I'm telling you now, you're going to have to go to work, and you're going to have to make them earn the bread. Because he's good for nothing.
Okay.
And you know what I said?
What did you say?
I said, well, has he been taught?
No way. Get it, Nana.
I was working when I was in high school. Come on.
I know, but,
I was.
Yeah.
she just looked at me and, she was taken back and she looked at Nancy and she said, what have I done? What have I done to teach these boys, him how to work? I've done this and I've done that and I've done this and and he can't even mow the lawn.
I can't see.
And that was
Can't
true.
you? I just didn't take the responsibility for it.
Anyway.
Byron, go mow the lawn. Okay.
Yeah, but she apologized
Yeah.
afterwards, and she said, he's just so much better than I ever dreamed he would be. That's nice.
Come back out of the Navy and they started to respect
Yeah,
what we've done.
and they could see that we worked hard and tried
It
hard.
was all different then.
We all make mistakes, but hopefully not for too long.
We got out of the Navy and came back to Bend, where we raised our kids. And I would always go over to Mom and Dad's place with or without the kids, quite often with them, and sitting down and talk to Mom and Dad.
Was your guys' plan to always stay in Bend? Or was that just always a temporary place?
Yeah, I think it was my plan. I have to be honest, yeah, just to stay in Bend.
Yeah, but the jobs didn't stay. So.
Yeah, the dog didn't stay.
And then he was asked to go to New Zealand.
They sold out on us. They sold out for real estate. They tore the mill down and just put up shops.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it.
There were lots of hard times, but then I got used to it. And I had my kids and, I had one that was really a good helper.
You had a lot of friends.
And
Always friends.
And I made friends very easily,
Yeah.
and
In the ward.
in each ward I had lots of friends.
Or
and-
neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I did a lot of fun things.
And she found
I
all
played
the
tennis and-
islanders she could find.
Yeah. And there were islanders, and so I would join the groups and sing and dance with them, and yeah, it was fun. And I learned how to can, and Yeah.
Cook, period.
And yeah, cook. 'cause
I remember
didn't
she only
really-
knew how to cook one thing
I
when we got
didn't know
married.
how-
Pancakes. And they weren't eating all the whole recipe.
And bread. I could
Well, you
make
learned the bread later, very quickly, but you learned it later.
No, I didn't. I knew it before I came to America.
Well, I didn't get any of it for a while.
Hey, that
Cacao
that
bread.
loaf of bread.
Yeah, technical bread, yeah,
That
okay.
loaf of bread that I cooked when your parents came and ate with us in Sisters,
I don't recall that.
and I cooked it by hitting the lid over and over again
I can remember
and
that.
turning the stove on and off and on and off so that it wouldn't burn, you know. But I got it cooked.
I don't remember my parents coming to
That's
eat
awesome.
because they would come back home crying.
Instead of a Dutch oven, I would, you know, where you put hot coals on the lid, and you just stand the Dutch oven on the coals on the fireplace.
Jerry went back
Right.
before we did.
Yeah.
Cool.
We first got to be in the Navy. I really feel like I was taken advantage of by a lot of my neighbors. You know, I would watch their children, and sometimes I would say no, and they would just insist that they didn't have anybody else, and I, you know, I just couldn't say no, and but eventually I was able to use him as
That's the excuse.
yeah. He'd said to me, if you don't want to, you just tell them my husband won't let me, you know. And so I was able to do that. And you know, even friends, Polynesians would come and ask if they could stay the night. You know, there was a couple. Anyway, I didn't even know them, but you know, they came and stayed. They wanted to stay the night, and they stayed for, I think it was like for
We had a couple
6
people like
weeks. And then there were, when Morna was my baby,
That
I
was
was expecting Nick.
That was in Long Beach, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah.
And when, you know, even Barbara,
Yeah.
that Barbara,
Mhm.
oh,
Members of the church, members of our ward
yeah, members
took
of our
advantage
ward
of us.
would ask me to babysit, and I would do it.
And we were in Navy housing.
Yeah, and
which
we were
was
in
just an
Navy
apartment,
housing.
very small.
And I mean, they would just take advantage of me. And, you know, Nick was my baby, and I'd have a sore bottom and sore breasts, and they'd still want me to. And I couldn't say no. But
I could.
I learned to be, I just learned that I had to toughen up, that I was just too soft and too,
We know we should be helping our neighbor, but
yeah.
enough is enough, you know.
But and so by the time I went to San Diego, I was tough then. I was tough
That was
then.
my 2 stations.
That's when my little kids like Nick was. Oh, he used to do little naughty things. He would get in my purse and take all the change. He knew which change was good. You know, pennies he didn't bother with, but quarters and dimes and nickels, he knew they would work if he, you know, there was a candy machine down at the bottom of our apartments, and he'd go down there and he'd put the money in and he'd get candy.
How old?
He's only
2.
2,
He was-
3.
I
Yeah,
remember that.
yeah, he was
Wow.
2 or 3, and I had a, what are they called? The policeman on a border patrol.
Yeah.
Person, you know, in uniform, come and talk to him and tell him that, you know, it wasn't nice to do a thing like that, and that a lot of people get put in jail. He'd go
Try and scare
in
him maybe
jail
or something.
Yeah,
know.
he was a border guard, yeah.
and get into trouble with the police if they do things like that, like take money and It didn't work.
We were on the south end of San Diego.
Yes,
The border was
right on the border.
not right on, but very, very, very close.
Yes.
Nana, did you work during this time, or
She
you were
did
home
some-
with kids?
She did some jobs.
Just little side jobs.
Nothing steady.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just sewed at home and I watched children. Yeah,
Mm.
I babysat. That was all
I think
that
it
I
wasn't
did.
until the kids were in high school that she got a permanent job.
Okay.
I went and got trained as
Electronics assembly.
CNA,
Yeah.
Oh.
That first.
an assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah,
have them
so-
anymore, do they?
They do,
CNAs?
yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
they do.
Yeah, usually like retirement homes. That's like
Mhm.
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah.
big one for
Yeah,
CNAs.
they
That's
have
what it
them.
was.
And and we used to do catheters then, and we did a lot more, but now they don't. Well, it depends what state they're in.
Their
Yeah.
qualifications and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh
And-
boy, yeah. But we still weren't involved with that many
Mm.
African American.
I was really
Members.
happy. Honestly,
We were happy.
that was the only thing that I was a little afraid of with my children, especially my girls.
Yeah, marrying
If they
a
were,
black man.
but when that happened, I just yay! And don't you remember? We were driving in the car. I remember that day exactly when the news came over the radio that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has now allowed all male members to receive the priesthood.
Already male members.
And he talked
It was
and the
It was
president talked about how long they
1978,
fasted for it.
and it was in the summer. Yeah. We lived at 24.
2104.
21044. We
Yeah,
lived
Thomas
on
Drive.
Thomas Drive.
Yep.
But I was so happy because I thought, yay! My
You
girls
think
can
we'll get
marry
them?
anybody. and it wouldn't matter because they could have all of those temple ordinances.
We used to
And
watch
cabinets.
basketball quite a bit, of course, because Dad liked basketball, so we were always watching basketball. And honestly, my mom loved all the black players,
Yeah.
and that really did transfer to me, because I started paying attention to them too. But she would always say, "Oh, look at him go! Look at those muscles."
And Grandpa's like,
Yeah. Yeah, I love basketball, but yeah.
we're here for the game, Nana.
Yeah. I'm about to-
Um,
If you don't have money, don't spend it. That's good. Okay? So mom says save 10% and don't spend it. Same thing. We didn't have much, we didn't need much, so there you go. What was after that? I don't know if there's anything else.
Anything you want to add to that one, Nana, before we go to the next question?
Oh, I say always have integrity. Appreciate your trials.
Whoa, which one we lost?
Be teachable
We didn't know that first one, like,
and to have mercy. To be kind.
especially
I-
to your husband.
I don't have a personal experience with integrity, but I do have something about Grandpa. He's one that has always had integrity to me. And one example was when we went to New Zealand, he was a, so what were you? Quality control person. And that was his job, and he had to go to the different mills and tell them what they needed to do. Now, the mill that he was hired by, which was an American company, but they had a New Zealand subsidiary, And the subsidiaries just did not want him to be honest about what the grade was. They wanted him to cheat a little so that they
Just
would
not-
make more money.
You didn't want me to cheat, just not teach him everything.
Yeah, no, oh, okay, not teach them everything. And he wouldn't do it. And he even lost his job because of that. But, you know, it all worked out just fine. And if you just have that integrity and be honest all the time, it will all work out right eventually. You might suffer through and have a hard time, but it's worth it. And the other one I was going to talk about was appreciating your trials. And this is something that I don't think we really appreciate our trials until after we are through them. And one of my biggest trials was to move to New Zealand. I had a whole house with 2 adult kids. Well, yeah, they were almost adults there. Nick was an adult, Kiri was 19, and they were just both rat bags. They were not helpful. I mean, they were just a trial.
Could be more diplomatic on that one, I think.
And no, I'm just being honest. Like, for
You
instance,
can
to
be
mow
more
the
diplomatic
lawn,
than that.
Nick would not mow the lawn. And so I had to,
That's what you said about me too.
I was working, you know, I worked at night and then I came home and slept for a little while and then worked on things that needed to be done, like getting the house ready to be sold. I mean, it was such a mess. And he had left, so I had to get it ready to be painted. And then we had 2 trash cans that were full of wheat. One of them was okay. The other one was full of mice. I mean, there were several nests of mice. So there were mice everywhere.
Oh, darn.
And I had to get that into the truck, onto the back of the truck.
Straight protein.
And my son Nick, I mean, at first he would not help me, but I finally twisted his arm, and he finally did help me to get it onto the back of the truck, and I took that off and went to the dump and dumped that too. But it was just, and then I had to move those 2 older kids to Utah with to mourn. Saya was still alive then, and you know, these kids, they were just rat bags, except for Robert. He was on his mission. He wasn't home from his mission yet. So on the trip taking them to Utah, we were in the truck, and I allowed Nick to drive my car. And he had been driving my car, and we had agreed that he could buy it from me. But I still paid the insurance on it. Anyway, on the way to Utah, the car just, Kiri and I are just driving along, and just gotten onto the freeway from Ontario, going toward Boise. And we see this smoke, and Kiri says, "Oh, wouldn't it be funny if that was Nick?" Guess what? It was Nick.
He burnt the car.
It was burning. I mean, the engine was just burning and on fire. And he was, you know, instead of getting his clothes or a blanket that he had in the car and smothering it, he was just whipping it and whipping it and whipping it.
How old was he?
Old enough
He
to know.
was 21 or 22.
Okay.
Yeah, he'd been back from his mission. He'd been to Idaho Ricks College for a year and had gotten himself into trouble. So he came home. Was more trouble for me. Anyway, you know, this great big truck, a semi, saw him doing that, and he knew that it was the wrong thing to do. So he stopped, pulled over just in front of Nick, and he came with his fire extinguisher and put the fire out. And he kind of felt sorry for Nick because Nick didn't know what to do, but he said, well, my mother is coming. So anyway, I got there and, he talked to me, the driver talked to me, and he said, is there anything else that I can do? And of course I didn't know what the heck to do. And I opened my wallet. I was thinking, what am I going to do? And right there in front of my eyes was my insurance card. And I could see this phone number. And he had shut his door, and I knocked on his door, and I said, by the way, do you have a cell phone? I said, so that I can call my insurance to see if this would be covered. And it was covered. And so, we said goodbye to him, and the police had already sent somebody. The trucker had called the police. And so, just all of these trials. But after all of those trials, I really felt that the Lord had helped me, and that I can do anything. I can do anything after such huge trials.
Mike can do anything, wife? I think it put a lot of value on our marriage, really. It's tough. We stuck it out. I even told her once that, hey, we're too poor to get a lawyer to get divorced, so, tough,
So you're
we're just gonna
stuck.
have to live with it. Didn't I?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. You have to live with me.
Well,
When the kids were in high school, one dime was very important. It was always behind the 8 ball.
yeah, it was bad.
It was bad.
It was bad.
We didn't get any loans. We didn't extend ourselves at all. Just kept going.
Well, we did kind of.
Did we?
Yeah. When you left for New Zealand, when we left and sold the house, we paid off all our debts here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we did go with a little bit of money to New Zealand. And that's when
Enough to put a good down payment on our house.
we lost that, though.
Yeah, but that's all right. We got our house.
Shouldn't have bought that house, but it was so cute.
It was cute.
And it looked like an American home.
What
No,
happened?
no.
Why shouldn't have you bought it? What happened?
It was very, very small, and I was hoping that a freeway that was planned to be built through town would go, and that the value of the house would increase, okay? So that's what I was doing. And besides, it was very close to work.
Yeah.
It was right in the middle between church and work. So it was a good area to be in. But it was too small. Even for 2 people, it was too small.
Kind of backfired on us, but and before we sold it, I decided for my birthday I was gonna go look for a house that I liked. And I found this one house, and I said for my birthday, I said, I want us to go look at a house, this house. And he fell in love with it right away too. He said, wow.
It was all right. A 6-bedroom.
Yeah, 6 bedrooms, but
Good location.
it had these
Wasn't flashy.
high ceilings, and
They all had high ceilings. It was traditional.
well, whatever. It was good.
Yeah.
And I could see it would suffice for what I wanted to do.
She wanted to have.
I was a CNA, and so I went around to houses taking care of old people, and driving around, you didn't really make any money. And so I wanted to stay home and do that at home. So I started a respite care home. And that's how we got Michael. He was a ward of the state, and we fostered him and others for, Yeah,
We had 3, didn't we, at the time?
yeah. 5 years down there, and then another 5 up in Kaikohe, taking care of my dad as well. Just Michael.
Michael and your dad. We bought 3 houses. The first one was a flop, but the other 2 were profitable.
Yeah.
Paid off that one that she got, and, we sold it. And it gave us just a little bit of money to buy another one, which we also liked pretty good. And we had Michael in there, and Giselle, didn't we?
Yeah, we had Jatel and all those others, you know,
Only 2 of them.
Puta and Shanae.
Not all at once, though.
No, but from time to time. There's so many that have, you know, like Sister Madsen. She would be one for you.
I had 3 teachers that really helped me out a lot. 2nd grade teacher taught me Spanish, and I enjoyed that. I just enjoyed her teaching, and she was treating me well. My 9th grade, yeah, I think it was, science teacher, he told me that he wasn't an English teacher, therefore I could finish the test on another day, because I couldn't ever finish it. I couldn't read fast enough. So I finished the test on the next day, and from then on I got A's in his class, which allowed me to have some extra privileges as well, going to field trips and whatnot, which was very meaningful to me. So I enjoyed him, and then he did that for me, and so he's on the top of my list. His name is Wally Wilson. And then it was my geometry teacher, Dr. Cook. Was it Nina? I think it was Nina. She taught Nancy as well, Nancy Miller. And she treated me pretty good too, and taught me math. It was algebra, geometry. And I got to go on a field trip with her as well, and a class. And yeah, those 3 did pretty well for me. And other than that, yeah, Sister Madsen was really nice. Besides, she had a very nice looking daughter, my age. And who else can I really? Our bishops were pretty good. They were helpful, especially when things got tight. I lost my job. They sold out, and so yeah, everybody lost their jobs. And so he helped out, and I helped him. Everything was good. It was not a stressful time, except a little tight, but other than that, we managed.
I have to say Matthew Cowley, because I've never met him, but he gave me a blessing as a child.
That's your name.
A lot of people in Polynesia, you know, they line up for blessings, especially from Matthew Cowley. And my parents just told me all about him and what a great guy he was. And even though I met him, he's having blessed me, required more out of me. Well, my mother, she told me, you know, we expect a lot out of you. You've been blessed by a prophet.
Oh.
And, you know, she just reminded me that when I was
She often was.
in my naughty days. And so he would have to be an influence. Another person I named, she was a really good friend of mine. Her name is Johnny Baldwin, and I wrote her name down because I was going through a tough time and I wanted a divorce. And I'd been married like 16 years and I was just fed up of trying to fix this guy. But, and so this one night I left and he said to me, well, if you leave, you know, you're never going to get the kids. I said, you can have them. I said, you can have them. Anyway, I went to her house and I spilled my guts out, how you do with friends. I don't know if you do that, but I did. And she said to me, she was on her third marriage. You know, she divorced her first husband because he was just an easygoing, happy-go-lucky guy that was just happy with life. I mean, he wasn't very ambitious, and she is very ambitious. I mean,
That didn't help.
very, very ambitious. And so, you know, she dumped him. And then the next one, I don't know what the problem was, but she dumped him. and she was on her third one, and she said, you know, and she'd had a child with this third husband of hers, and she said, Marara. And I said, what? And she said, okay. She said, you're mad at him and all of this, but she said, he loves you and only you. He doesn't go fooling around with other women. He doesn't smoke. He doesn't drink. He goes to church, even though you don't think he's where he should be, but he goes to church, you know, and he loves the kids. And all right, you don't get a lot of money, but you have what you need. You know, and she just went over and over and over. And she changed my mind overnight, and I came home that, I don't know if I saw you, you had gone to work, but I came home and I stayed home, and then when you came, he came home and he said, well, he said, I've decided if you want a divorce, you can have it. You know, and I had changed my mind then, and I don't know, we just...
1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. 1 o'clock in the morning?
Just when I got off work.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because you had gone to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, we talked and, okay. So here we are, 53 years later, 52.
And she still wants me to change, so.
Yes.
Good luck, girl. Good luck.
Yeah, and there's others, you know, like temple presidents. This one, the day we got married, there was this, after we got sealed in the temple, we came out of the sealing room, and this woman came up to me and she said, where are you from? And I said, I'm from New Zealand. And she said, you know, I just came from Hawaii. Do you know so-and-so? I mean, these were all people that I was raised with, you know, and I said, and she just hugged me and I hugged her, and I just felt like, you know, the Lord knew that I needed to meet this woman, you know, because I really felt like my whole family was there now to, you know, to celebrate. And she said, what are you doing now? And I said, well, we just got sealed and we want to go through the temple. And she said, that doesn't. You can be the witness couple. I'll tell my husband. And so we got to be the witness couple on our wedding day.
Not that big a deal. Really?
Wasn't.
That's so cool, though.
It is great.
I mean, it was.
You were in Idaho, too,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know anybody.
right?
This is Clea Manson's brother.
Oh, yeah, we
Yeah.
went there.
That's the only people we didn't even know them. So
Yeah.
it was sister.
Yeah, and he was a bishop. And, you know, he knew the county whatever, and he opened up the county clerk's office so that we could get our license to get,
He's
you
been
know.
in the details of all her life. So
Yeah.
I don't know, is that a good president?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. You know, and so that was enough of a testimony.
You
that
have to do the
we're
very best you
supposed
can
to
to
be
get
together
those
and
kind
do
of
our
things.
best.
Hmm.
You know, and I don't know, I think in each of our lives, the Heavenly Father is watching over us. He knows our full potential. And I mean, he knows us more than we know ourselves.
So I get to push sawdust for a while
Yeah.
to learn something.
Anyway,
I'm a twin.
You are a twin. That is very unique.
I had a good mom and dad. It's kind of funny, you know, because dad came through the depression, mom too, but mom come through a divorce, her parents' divorce. So that kind of set them up for some things, you know, the war set dad up for a few values. And, hey, dad believed that when you bought something like a house or a car or whatever, you paid it off just as fast as you could. He never just paid what was due. He paid everything he could. And so every time we moved, he'd already paid something off. He had a shop that he owned and a house that he owned. He paid off both of those. So when we went to Oregon, cash free, you know. He didn't jump right into a house. It was 6 months later that we got a house, a really nice house. A house I appreciate growing up in, really. And like for nothing on that one. So yeah, the way they taught me. They didn't teach me the gospel as much as I'd like. Dad didn't go to church, he wasn't a member. Mom's testimony was not real strong. But there's another thing the Lord's looking after, because to get those two together, how in the world did they think about teaching us the gospel or whatever in the Mormon church? They weren't active before then. But yeah, we all got baptized when we should. And when we went to Bend, Oregon, well, we had a good community.
and the boys serve missions.
Yeah, we all served missions. So,
That's not 20.
no. That's two, mom and dad. What people or what events or what?
Just you.
Anything.
What unique things about you?
Now I can't even think about that, because I like anybody else. I had trials. Didn't read real well. Just barely got through high school. If I would have flunked one subject at all, I wouldn't have made it through.
Well, that's another one. I mean, you just write down.
What? Sticking to it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, not quitting, not giving up.
not giving up. So when I went on my mission, I was still awful naive. Didn't know how to read real well. Didn't know how to memorize things. They really got a little tired of me on my mission. My companions, well, they didn't tell me, but always tell the president, there's nothing we can do with this guy. But he didn't give up. And I had two junior companions. Well, that's pretty all right. And they were good. He gave me the best. He taught me more than I taught them. But anyway.
I know it. You have a sharp nose.
To go with your flat one, yes.
Yes.
We have a very good mix there,
You have-
whether she
You
believes
have
it or not
smaller
sometimes.
feet than I do.
We have a good mix. We make good kids. Yeah. Yeah, when we started our marriage, there's a few values we actually applied. Whether we really thought deeply about them when we did it or not, we did. So we want to raise our kids in the church. We want them to make sure they go on missions. Right?
Well, that's what I wanted.
Yeah, that's what I wanted too.
You didn't voice it very much.
No,
so-
but I wanted it. It
Yeah.
was one of the goals that were there. Wanted to go on a mission together. Okay? From the very beginning, didn't we?
I didn't even think that far ahead.
We did. We did.
Yeah.
Wanted to go on a mission together. So in order to do that, you have to stay active. It's not 20, but that's what you're going to get.
All right.
And after 3 months, they knocked on my door and said, "You want a job?" So off to New Zealand I went.
Yeah. And I I just ran around the house.
Yeah.
I'm going home. I'm going home. I just yelled and screamed. I'm going home.
We just both jumped right on that thing. And there was no hesitation. I had to go
Yeah.
down to Sacramento to meet the boss, meet the owner of the company, and try to understand what he wanted down there. But they'd already made up their mind that they wanted me to go.
And they had done their homework.
Yeah.
They knew that I was from New Zealand, so he would be an easy person to get in there and stay for as long as they wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was good, even though they weren't exactly honest. It was good. Best job I'd ever had, honestly.
Yeah, and best paying.
Best paying, best job. I mean, I was now
making
sort of in the management area of things. I wasn't just a worker. And I got to visit practically all of the South Island.
Yeah, he got to travel.
Talked
I've
more
never
than she ever
been.
did.
Yeah, he's been to more places in New Zealand than I have. Because
They flew me up to the North Island twice to teach the grade up there.
flew us to Australia.
Mm-hmm. A couple of times.
Yeah, go to the temple and see Rosalie, her husband.
I just said, hey, if you're going to fly me all the way to New Zealand,
It's cheaper to fly us to Australia.
yeah.
It was with that
I mean,
time.
say if you're going to take us that far, you're gonna owe me something at least. Give me something that I can appreciate, and then give you some vacations. We'll let you go home every couple of years, and then I just traded 1 year not to go home and go to Australia. Much cheaper. They jumped all over that. While in New Zealand, while in Australia on one of those vacations, I met one of the family I baptized in Australia
Yeah.
on my mission.
Cool.
What an exciting experience that was. And they were sending their youngest son to the temple to get married, and we just happened to be there. And I hadn't communicated with them at all.
That was the first time I met Hatches. I never met Hatches while we were in Australia.
First time.
I love it.